The story takes place in a peaceful village where Peter, a kind-hearted but impulsive fisherman, struggles with forgiving his brother. One day, his brother damaged Peter's brand new fishing net, making it impossible for Peter to work. Peter's hands trembled with rage as he held up his brand new fishing net, now torn beyond repair. His brother stood before him. "I'm sorry, Peter. It was an accident." But sorry wasn't enough. This net was his livelihood, his way to provide, and now, because of his brother's carelessness, he couldn't work. "You have to pay me back," Peter demanded. But his brother had nothing, no money, no way to make it right. And Peter? He refused to forgive. What happened next would change everything, forever. The next day, Peter approached Jesus and asked him, "Master, how many times must I forgive my brother? Is it up to 7 times?" And Jesus responded, "I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. Peter was in shock with Jesus' response. Peter knew that in the Jewish tradition, it was common to forgive someone 3 times, but he wanted to appear generous before Jesus, and that is the reason he said 7 times. Therefore, rather than confirming Peter's 7 times approach, Jesus expanded it to 70 times 7, which is about 490 times per day. This number is not meant to be taken literally. Jesus was not saying to forgive exactly 490 times and then stop, but he was teaching that forgiveness should be unlimited, continuous, and without conditions, day after day after day. Jesus proceeded by illustrating the parable of the unforgiving servant in Matthew 18:23-35. The kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the king ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. "Be patient with me, my lord," he begged, "and I will pay back everything." The servant's king took pity on him, cancelled the debt and let him go. But when that servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. "Pay back what you owe me," he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, "Be patient with me, and I will pay it back." But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were outraged and went and told their king everything that had happened. Then the king called the servant in. "You wicked servant," he said. "I cancelled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you?" In anger, his king handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. Here, Jesus explained how the king initially forgave his servant's great debt, yet that same servant refused to forgive a much smaller debt owed to him. Peter reflects on the parable and realized he has been acting like the unforgiving servant. Right at that time, Jesus smiles at Peter, who now understands the importance of forgiveness. Jesus kept saying to Peter, "When you forgive, you release blessings not only to your brother, but also to yourself. True forgiveness frees your heart from bitterness and fills it with love. As just as God forgives us, so we must also forgive others. That is the path to peace and true freedom." As a matter of fact, Peter was moved by Jesus' teaching, that he decided to approach his brother and told him he forgave him. His brother, who was humbled and grateful, was touched and thanks Peter. Both Peter and his brother went on to fix the fishing net together, reinforcing their friendship, and everyone in the village were rejoicing at their reconciliation. Now, if we go back to the scriptures, in Matthew 6:14-15, it says, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." What Jesus is teaching here is that our relationship with God is directly connected to how we treat others. If we are unwilling to forgive people who hurt us, we cannot expect God to forgive us. This doesn't mean that we earn God's forgiveness, but rather, our willingness to forgive is proof that we truly understand God's mercy. Sometimes, you may say to yourself, "But we are human beings, and we are not perfect at all, and it is extremely difficult to forgive others. We always sinning against God." Sometimes, you sin knowing you are sinning, and other times, you sin unintentionally. But when you realize you have sinned, you can come before God and ask for forgiveness, and He will be always ready to forgive us. So He expects us to do the same for others. Forgiving is not an easy thing to do, but with God's help, we will find the necessary courage and strength to do so. Forgiveness is a lifestyle that will help you out in the long run. If you think about it, God forgives us endlessly, as long as we do it from the bottom of our heart. So we should do the same for our brothers and sisters. God's forgiveness toward us is far greater than anything we could ever forgive others for. When we choose to forgive, we open our hearts to receive the full blessing of His mercy and grace. Is there someone in your life you need to forgive today? And let God bring healing and freedom to your life. This will make us free from those bonds that the enemy has placed on us. If you enjoyed our Bible stories, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us grow and reach more people who may benefit from this message. God bless you and total blessings.